Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you whenever you may be watching it. My name is JD, here to give you another JD's Racing Wager Show, and this week we have a very exciting race coming up. We have Talladega, a very well known track, Talladega Nights, and lots of action. So for anybody trying to get their friends into NASCAR, I recommend having them watch this race. I know for me as a kid, before I understood a lot of the strategy, the crashes, the close racing, lead changes, I always used to look forward to this one and found it to be the most exciting race on the schedule. Now that I'm a little older, I have a different viewpoint. I do think this is a great introductory race for both new fans and also sports bettors. More on that here in a second. The first thing I have to do is recap how we did at Bristol Dirt. I know I've done results episodes before. I think for ease, it might be best to switch it over into a results and a predictions episode, all coming out on Wednesday. So going forward, I think that's the format I'm going to choose, with additional bets and predictions listed on my TikTok channel and also my Twitter account. We'll go ahead and get into how the results went. So I've already reported some on the TikTok. The ones I spoke about on the show last week were our Bristol Dirt matchups for the Cup Series. We went 5-5 on these, so that's, break even. I'm okay with it compared to how a lot of other things went as far as win predictions and top 10 predictions. I'm okay with 5-5 with how the week was. I went 1-3 on some TikTok matchups I posted, so 6-8 overall. Worst week I've had as far as sports betting goes since I started doing this. So you live and you learn. Dirt's unpredictable. It was looking good at various points, looking even worse at various points. I'll jump right into how our results went. We had Christopher Bell over William Byron. That was a win. Christopher Bell looked competitive at certain parts, and he kind of got shuffled back on some restarts. So lower lane was giving drivers trouble. William Byron was pretty much a non-factor most of the race. We had Chase Elliott versus Denny Hamlin. I went with Hamlin on this one. That was a loss, as Chase Elliott had a decent run. Denny Hamlin had some mechanical issues and didn't make it to the finish. Kyle Busch over Ryan Blaney. Kyle Busch was the eventual winner, so obviously he is the winner of that matchup. Martin Truex Jr. versus Joey Logano. I kind of felt bad about this one after watching the heat races. Martin Truex Jr. struggled. Never really could get through the traffic and have much success this week. Joey Logano ran up front at various points, came home with a solid finish, so we lost that matchup. Tyler Reddick over Alex Bowman. Reddick was looking great in the final 100 laps. Ended up not getting the win. Crazy finish, so I highly recommend going back and watching it. It was so unexpected, and in our matchup, Reddick did not win. He did finish ahead of Alex Bowman, so we won that one. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. over Ross Chastain. Both had an awful race, involved in accidents. Chastain has issues earlier, so Ricky Stenhouse won that one. Chris Buescher over Cole Custer. Oh, we did have Ricky Stenhouse on that one, so we won that one. This was looking good most of the race. Custer actually passed Chris Buescher on a late restart, and we had Buescher, so we lost that one. Bubba Wallace versus Eric Jones. We had Bubba Wallace. Bubba was ahead most of the race, had overheating issues and engine troubles at the end, resulting in him finishing behind Eric Jones, so we lost that one. Justin Haley over Austin Cindric. This is another one after the heat races. I was like, because I went with Cindric. Justin Haley dominated his heat race. Was kind of a non-factor in the race. Came home with a top 15 and beat Austin Cindric. Daniel Suarez over Kevin Harvick. I felt pretty confident about this one. Suarez was in contention to win for a long time, and he beat Kevin Harvick, who, as he did last year, struggled on the dirt. So just to recap, we went 5-5. Christopher Bell over William Byron. We had Hamlin over Elliott. That was a loss. Kyle Busch over Ryan Blaney. We had Kyle Busch and won. Martin Truex Jr. versus Joey Logano. We had Martin Truex Jr. and lost. Alex Bowman versus Tyler Reddick. We had Tyler Reddick and won. Ross Chastain versus Ricky Stenhouse Jr. We had Ricky Stenhouse, and we won. Cole Custer versus Chris Buescher. We had Chris Buescher and Cole Custer won. So we had Wallace versus Eric Jones, and Eric Jones won that one. We had Wallace. Austin Cindric versus Justin Haley. We had Austin Cindric. Justin Haley won. Daniel Suarez versus Kevin Harvick. We had Suarez, and Suarez won that one. So 5-5 on the week. Not bad on the matchups. We'll take it. We'll hop around a little bit. I did some track matchups as well. You can see those on my TikTok. We did okay there. Our win picks for the trucks missed the mark. We had Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Stuart Friesen. Stuart Friesen was up at the front for a portion of the race. So was Joey Logano. They definitely did not win in the end. Haley Deegan, Derek Krause, Harrison Burton were long shots. They were all non-factors during that race. We missed the truck race. Ben Rhodes won. He wasn't really on my radar going forward in dirt. I will use this information to get better picks. Our top 3 picks for the Cup, switching gears back to Cup, we had Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe. I really hammered the dirt guys. I had Ricky Stenhouse as a long shot along with Bubba Wallace. I had Austin Dillon in my top 10 picks. And we didn't do too well on that. It was another year where dirt experience did not necessarily translate to success on the finishing order. All 3 of these drivers, Larson, Bell, and Briscoe, all were possible winners at certain points during the race. Briscoe almost won. That would have been a big win for us. I had him at plus 1,400, so that would have paid 14 to 1. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. Our long shots, Ricky Stenhouse and Bubba, both ran into trouble. Our top 10 picks, we missed on all 4 of these, too. Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon and Bubba had issues. Eric Jones and Eric Almirola didn't really come close to the top 10. So, all in all, Bristol Dirt was a pretty tough week for us from the betting side. It's been my least successful, as I said, since I started this. I want, though, learn some things for dirt. That finish at the end kind of hurt as well. So, it is what it is. We will apply this year to next year's pick, and we're going to get them all right next year. So, going from Bristol Dirt, I'm ready to give you all some picks for Talladega. So, I'm going to show you my notes here from Talladega. Very extensive notes. I'm just going to flash them. And this is what we can do with those notes. Y'all, Talladega is unpredictable. I think that this is a great time for any new bettors. For us season bettors, this is going to be a struggle, I mean, there's outcomes that you can think, and then a wreck will happen and knock out 20 drivers. So all we can do is give our best shot. We know what should happen. What should happen is not what's going to happen, and I kind of applied that to my picks a little bit this week. So we have matchups on William Hill. We have Kyle Larson over Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin over Logano, Cindric over Blaney, Byron over Busch, Chastain over MTJ, Harvick over Keselowski, Bubba over Briscoe, Reddick versus Bowman, Kurt Busch over Eric Almirola, Cole Custer over Michael McDowell. And I'm going to tell you my reasoning behind these picks. They'll have the best odds. I just really, as far as from a bettor's perspective, I think there's a lot of opportunity at Talladega as far as trying to predict it using previous races. It's hard. The only thing I really think that you can glean from previous results that you can apply to this week are, drivers running at the front, because when you're running at the front, you're more likely to stay out of trouble. So someone like Denny Hamlin, he's always at the front of these races. He was an underdog to Joey Logano in the matchup. I think he's going to stay in front. He's very likely to stay out of trouble. With that, I mean, Kevin Harvick, when he stays out of trouble at Talladega, he's there at the end. Kurt Busch, he's another one who runs up front of restrictor plate races. I don't think he has a restrictor plate win. We'll see if he can crack that code this weekend. The one of these matchups that I feel confident about, and I've had success with this when I bet Daytona equipment at these tracks, like who's more likely to have an issue. So I do like Cole Custer over Michael McDowell. Cole Custer isn't even. I think if anything were to happen, it's more likely to happen to a front row motorsports car than a Storehouse car, like losing a tire, having a penalty, some accident or something like that. So, yeah, I'm honestly not going to spend too much time on my Cup picks for the matchups, just because of the unpredictability. I could, like, sit here and argue, read stats till I'm blue in the face, and in the end, you know, it's not going to matter. I do like the strategy, in this case, of taking the best odds. Another strategy I thought about doing was just coin flips. I mean, flip a coin for most of these, and you're going to get decent results. I mean, you're going to get the same results you would if you use logic to back up your picks. So that's what I'm getting at with Talladega and the unpredictability. I know this may be an unpopular episode, but hey, this is my thought process as a bettor. So I'm going to move on to some Xfinity matchups. Gregson versus Gibbs, Hemrick versus Allmendinger, Austin Hill versus Josh Berry, Brandon Jones versus Justin Allgaier, and Sam Mayer versus Sheldon Creed. I do like Sam Mayer over Sheldon Creed. I've seen more speed at his sound this year. I do think he's going to get a win. He can pull one at Talladega. Brandon Jones over Allgaier. Brandon Jones, I liked him at even versus Allgaier at -120. This is a week where I do feel like it's smart to let the odds skew your opinions. Austin Hill versus Josh Berry. I went with Josh Berry on my pick. This was tough. Austin Hill was very fast at Daytona. Daytona success doesn't necessarily translate into Talladega success. Hemrick versus AJ Allmendinger. I went with Hemrick. I mean, they're both collie cars, so they're going to be up front at different times during the race. Just based on the shuffle of the deck, I feel like it's Hemrick's turn to get a better finish. Ty Gibbs versus Noah Gregson. I went with Noah Gregson just because he has more super speedway experience than Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs does have some ARCA wins. Gregson is more seasoned in the Xfinity Series. He has won restrictor plate races in the past. He's also running the Cup race. A lot of seat time for him, and so my picks are going to be Gregson over Gibbs, Hemrick over Allmendinger, Berry over Hill, Brandon Jones over Allgaier, and Mayer over Creed. Moving on to some long shots. This is where I really think that new bettors are getting their value. The actual outright wins to win the race. I mean, I personally will never bet on a favorite at Talladega. I like people in fast cars who can surprise, and Talladega is much more prone to upset wins than Daytona, as history will show. Long shots I like this week, so I'll preface this by saying that there are like certain drivers who I will eliminate. Anybody from 75 to 1 down. Sometimes you can get a gem in there. I mean, J.J. Elliott 150 to 1. Most of those drivers are in underfunded cars, likely to have equipment trouble when they're in contention for the win at the end of the race. The drivers in better equipment won't necessarily go with them because they don't know who they're working with, and the cars also are a little bit slower when they're leading a pack, so we can eliminate a lot of drivers. The long shots I do like are Jeremy Clements at 75 to 1. He's a former winner in the Xfinity Series. He's fast at restrictor plate races. He has had a lot of mechanical issues, incidents in the past. If he can avoid those, he could pick up the win. I like Myatt Snyder at 50 to 1. This one surprised me. He was in contention in the closing laps at Daytona before that horrific wreck. He's also won the Xfinity Series before. He's driving an RCR affiliated car, so the bigger teams may be more apt to work with him at 50 to 1. I think he is a great value in this long shots category. Jeb Burton, 30 to 1. He won here last year. He's driving for our Motorsports, which doesn't have a win yet. He was driving for Colleague last year. With that being said, I mean, 30 to 1 for the most recent Talladega winner. I don't think you can pass up those odds. And when I'm looking at these long shots, I would say, you know, like, depending on what your units are, maybe put a half unit, but spread out these half units. Bet on all these long shots. Bet on all these drivers to win, because your payout is going to be pretty solid. I would say don't do a full unit, because if none of them hit, you know, you don't want to lose too much. It's a risk versus reward. It's really what you as the bettor are comfortable doing this week, as opposed to other weeks, you know, where there's a lot of opportunity to really hit on like a favorite or someone who is expected to do well. This is drivers that we don't normally expect to do well who have an opportunity to sneak a win. Moving on to that with my wins, I didn't go with any of the favorites. My top three this week are Landon Castle at 12-1 in the Collie car. That value, that's good value for a driver for that team. Riley Herbst at 18-1. I went with a driver I would never pick at any other track. He does drive for Stuart Haas. He has shown speed at restrictor plate races in the past. I could see him breaking through this week. I also finally like Jeffrey Earnhardt at 25-1. If the Spirit of Dale shines through this weekend, down to his grandson Jeffrey driving the 3 car for RCR, 25-1. If the Spirit of Dale is with Jeffrey, I mean those odds are nothing. You know, I mean that's a great payout, and he's driving RCR cars. This is his best opportunity. He's ran well at restrictor plate races for Joe Gibbs. I'm actually going with Riley Herbst to win, just because, I mean, SHR, I could see him pulling off that win. You know, I think drivers will go with him at the end. He's been in the series for a while now. We see a lot of veterans who don't necessarily run super well, or I'm thinking of like a Michael Annett, you know, like solid driver, consistent, not really ever having race winning speed. That's kind of what I look at with Riley Herbst. And at the end of the race, you know, he could be right place, right time. I do like, you know, the bigger teams to win. I like bigger teams with drivers less likely to win at places like these because, you know, their cars are fast, their teams are fast. Maybe they haven't gelled all the way with the team fully. He is just as likely as anybody else in the field to win with his equipment and his setup. So Riley Herbst, 18-1 is my pick to win in Xfinity. If anybody has any other long shots they're thinking about, let me know. I like to hear people's thought processes. Give me some feedback on this episode because I will not be doing episodes like this very often, you know, where it's just kind of like all out. You know, I don't necessarily have like a strategy. Risk versus reward, as we said earlier. These are some bets I actually think are going to be fun this week. So we have top 10 bets. I couldn't pick just 3 this week. I had to go with 6. So I'm not looking at anybody who's even or above, like even minus 110. Anything above that, like no point in betting. There's so much uncertainty. I think it would just be a waste of time and money. I'm looking at drivers who I think can steal a top 10, sneak in, you know, avoid attrition. There's 2 sets that I did, 2 sets of 3. There's the closer 3 and then the like more surprise 3. Oh wait, now I'm looking at my notes. I did it differently. I did so I'll just get to it. I did Chris Buescher at plus 100 and Cole Custer at plus 280. Those are kind of my like bigger teams, you know, like underrated drivers. Driving Fords are always fast at restrictor plates. A lot of people are looking at Buescher's teammate Keselowski this week because of his restrictor plate success. Chris Buescher is the type of driver who can sneak into the top 10 at any time, especially at restrictor plate tracks. Cole Custer drives for Stuart Haas. He's going to get some top 10s throughout the year. I think at plus 280, this is a great chance to get one. It's harder for me to like bet on drivers who have better odds when there's like so much money to be made on drivers like my next pick, which is Todd Gilliland at plus 380. Driving for Front Row Motorsports, I mean, they won the 500. They won Talladega in the past. If he can avoid wrecks, he'll finish top 10. Or mechanical issues. Mechanical issues do plague that team sometimes. Noah Gregson at plus 600. I love this pick. He's driving the 62 car that Brendan Gaughan drove to some top 10s at Talladega, Daytona, being sponsored by Wendy's. It's a cool paint scheme. I really like this pick at plus 600 too. 6-1 payout for the possibility of a Gregson top 10. Hemrick at plus 500, 5-1 payout in a Collie car and Cup. I love those odds. I mean, Hemrick's a Cup veteran. There's no reason that he can't draft his way to a top 10, assuming that he avoids any accidents. A driver that's good at avoiding accidents is Landon Castle, and he's at plus 850. That shocked me. I mean, he's at the same level as someone like a BJ McLeod, who is a solid driver. Castle, with BJ, I've noticed I like the restrictor plate races. he kind of is more concerned about wreck avoidance, which could be a good thing. With that being said, if there's like cars on the lead lap, chances are he's going to finish outside the top 10. Him being the same odds as Castle, I like someone like Landon, who has proven that they will drive aggressively, at the end of these races. A plus 850 to 1, I think that is a great potential payout. So I really like my top 10 picks this week. We're going to hit on one, I have a feeling. Long shots to win. I'll preface this by saying there are like drivers I eliminate. I'm just going to pull up some examples. Even in a situation where, the odds are stacked, there are certain drivers that just due to equipment purposes, I think it's best to avoid. These are the Cody Wares, BJ McLeods, David Reagans of the world. I just think, like in a Greg Biffle, and Greg Biffle's in this race too, those teams are too underfunded, too small to realistically win without, like a rain delay or anything like that. I prefer to bet on long shots who, have some sort of like funding, like they're probably going to be there at the end barring a wreck. They are in, better equipment, known to be faster. Someone like a Harrison Burton at 55 to 1, driving for the Wood Brothers. They're always fast at these restrictor plate tracks. Trevor Bayne won the 500 as a rookie, so the success is there. Matt DiBenedetto is also a driver who had success in that 21 car at restrictor plates, 55 to 1. There's some money on Harrison Burton. Eric Jones at 66 to 1. Eric Jones is a former Cup winner, former restrictor plate track winner. He's been fast this year. I have no reason to think that Petty GMS will not be competitive at Talladega. At 66 to 1, he's one of the longer shot odds that I actually really like. I also have Ty Dillon at 125 to 1, and same thing with Eric Jones. I mean, Ty's shown speed at restrictor plate races, 125 to 1. I was surprised that the odds were like that stacked against him. That is an excellent payout. Again, I don't think these drivers are necessarily going to win. I think it's worth, putting a little bit of money on them just in case they do and reaping the benefit. I have a middle ground pick, so this is kind of like long shot, but also someone who I think is going to be very stout, and that's Justin Haley. Of course, he does have a restrictor plate win. Due to circumstances, weather-related, which is not, in his situation, it's not as good of like something to lean on as other restrictor plate wins. With that being said, he's 66 to 1, and he's been fast, showing flashes of brilliance at the Clash, even Bristol Dirt during the heat races. He's very good at like non-traditional racetracks such as the road courses, dirt tracks, and super speedways. He's won a lot in the Xfinity Series. I could see him winning. I have him in between because I don't want to call him a long shot. I almost put him in my top 3 to win this week. Getting back to my top 3, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 35 to 1. He's always up front at these restrictor plate races. Nearly won at Talladega before. Oh, he did win with Roush. He's also almost won with his current team. So he's going to be stout. He's going to be in contention. You're going to be hearing his name. Ross Chastain at 35 to 1. I like aggressive drivers at these restrictor plate tracks. Same with Ricky Stenhouse. Ross Chastain is going to be very aggressive. He's going to do what it takes to get to the front. Risk reward, these drivers could cause accidents. They could be involved in accidents. Their aggression is twofold. It's fast, but it's dangerous. So I still like them to win. With Talladega, I don't want to go for the favorites. I don't want to bet on the favorites because I think that's just a recipe for not getting the best possible payout that you could get. Maybe I'll look back on Monday and someone like Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano will have won, and I'll reevaluate my betting strategy going forward. I do think this is the best strategy to have at these types of tracks. My pick to win, I'll just go ahead and get straight to it. So my 3 picks I like are Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ross Chastain, and the third one is Tyler Reddick at 25 to 1. He's my pick to win this week. I think Talladega sets itself up for storylines. There is kind of like a mystique about the track, and how great would it be for Tyler Reddick to go from losing his chance at his first win in the final corner of the final lap to getting his first win just 1 week later on the hallowed grounds of Talladega and at 25 to 1. I mean, that's an awesome payout. We will take that all day, all week, every week, and he's my pick to win. So Tyler Reddick is going to win Talladega. got a lot of opportunity here, matchup wise. I'll continue updates on my TikTok channel throughout the weekend. I may post a Twitter bet again, so follow me on those mediums and give me some feedback on this episode. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you think your picks are to win. If you don't like the strategy, let me know why. We're going to see, how it goes this weekend, and I'm wishing everyone the best. Thank you for watching with me, and reach out if you need anything. Happy race day. Good luck to everyone, and have a great rest of your time.